Yeah. All right. Okay. I see how it's going to go. This thing ain't over. They got another game against each other in 2 weeks. This thing ain't over. It's far from it, actually. Because they should not have been in that game with how they played in the first half, but the fact that that was a game says a lot about these Chicago Bears. They ain't the same old Bears. Before the video gets fully underway, I do want to address this real quick. This video is coming out super late. I know that. I'm recording this about 24 hours after the game has ended. And before you start, no, it's not because I'm mad, I'm coping, I'm ducking. That's not the case. This is the first opportunity I have to actually sit down and talk about this thing. Because I was going to a concert last night. I made a couple community posts about it. The game, I'm on the Pacific Coast, so the game ended at about 4:25 Pacific time, and I had to leave for the concert pretty much immediately after. So that's why I recorded the immediate reaction YouTube short for you guys to enjoy, because I wanted to get at least something out there yesterday after the game was over before having to go to the concert and, you know, all that wonderful stuff, which, by the way, I had a great time, but got home really late, and so I was like, I was debating on whether or not I wanted to sit for like 20 minutes and sit and talk about it, but I didn't think that would have been good enough for you guys. So I went against it. And then I had stuff to do here today. So this is the first opportunity that I have to sit down and really talk about this thing. So forgive me for being so late. And no, it's not because I'm mad. So anyways, here's the video. Hi there, everyone who only watches this channel twice a year. It's good to see you again. Or, well, in this case, you only watched the channel once last year because the Packers didn't sweep the Bears last year. So, good to see you guys again. It's been over a year. You know, I think that a lot has changed since the last time you guys came over here. The season was over for the Bears after the Packers beat them in Soldier Field in 2024. And frankly, a lot of Bears fans just wanted the Packers to end up beating them pretty badly because they just wanted Matt Eberflus fired. This time, I actually see way more positivity than I thought I was going to. And I am very encouraged by that. And I'm mainly encouraged because I really don't think this is the same old Bears team that Chicago's trotted out over the last 15 years. And before you guys start, it's not cope. The Bears are 9-3 going into this game. The last time the Bears went into a game against Green Bay with the better record was in 2018. It's been 7 years since the Bears have gone into a game against Green Bay as the better team record-wise. I think that Green Bay is a better team than Chicago right now, but guess what? That's because they have a 7th-year head coach and a 6th-year quarterback. Like, that QB coach marriage has been set in stone. I know Jordan Love's only started for 3 years, but he's been in the league for 6 years. He's been in Matt LaFleur's system for 6 years. So yes, he's a 6th-year quarterback. Look, that's just the bottom line. The Packers are a more experienced team. They're used to these scenarios. And frankly, the Packers are a good football team. I'm not afraid to admit it. They're a good football team. They're what, 9-3-1 now? That's the record. Yeah, 9-3-1. That is a winning football team, and that is a good football team, a very good football team. No team in the NFL has gained 300 yards of offense or scored 20 points on the Packers defense at Lambeau Field this year. The Bears just did both, and they still lost by only a touchdown. After that god-awful first-half performance, how is that even a game? That shouldn't have even been a game. So because I'm getting to this thing so late, I'm going to try something different. Typically on this channel, I give knee-jerk reactions and give you my interpretations of what I'm seeing on Sundays. Who stood out? Who had a bad game? What about this moment was so special, or was the moment that the game ended? Whether or not the Bears won or lost, right? That's what this channel's been all about. Since I'm recording this on Monday, let's talk about something else. Let's try and approach this thing differently.
Look, all my gut reactions are out for this game. You want to watch those? The YouTube shorts up for you. But I want to sit and talk about this game from the perspective of being Monday now, because I think it's been really interesting to see the reaction to this game. It's been so different, clearly so different than so many other Bears-Packers games, even in the last 5 years. And I just want to talk about it. So we're going to try and sit down and run unedited for 20 minutes. I want to see how I do. Fingers crossed. Let's give it a shot. So everyone pull up a chair. And let's talk about this thing. All right, so we're going to go ahead and try this thing unedited. I wish myself luck. First things first. Let's talk about the quarterbacks. Jordan Love outplayed Caleb Williams. Simple as that, honestly. And frankly, I don't think that's what we should expect. And that's not me saying that Caleb Williams is a bad quarterback. I think that's me saying Jordan Love is a sixth-year quarterback in his sixth year with a system against a second-year quarterback with his second head coach and his fourth offensive coordinator. The sixth-year quarterback should outplay the second-year quarterback. And Caleb Williams outperformed Jordan Love in the second half easily. Say what you want about who won, who lost, whatever. Caleb Williams looked really good in that second half against that defense that has been shut down at home this year. That ain't easy. And it felt like when they scored that first touchdown drive, the way that they scored that touchdown drive, I was like, all right, I feel like this team woke up out of the break because they forced a 3-and-out from Green Bay's offense, and then they went down and scored a touchdown, if I remember correctly. So it's like, okay, we're in the middle stages of the third quarter. Bears have already cut this thing into a one-score game. That was the biggest nervous concern that I had going into the second half. They looked terrible in the first half. They looked really, really bad. Caleb Williams got off to a shaky start, very bad start. Matt LaFleur won another freaking challenge against the Bears, as he does every time, it feels like. And so, and funnily enough, that challenge, while it turned it in from a fumble and a recovery by Chicago to an incompletion, so he didn't necessarily get the result he wanted, it still affected the Bears and killed that drive because they took a penalty on the next snap and then could not gain another yard. And so they come up empty off of the Jordan Love interception. So, that first half was terrible for Chicago. And compounding with the fact that Cairo Santos kicked a squib kicked it to give the Packers the ball at the 40, which they scored a touchdown on. That one, that really felt like the moment where I'm like, all right, here we go. This feels like the wake-up call. This feels like the return to reality, right? But the way they played in that second half really has me hopeful for the rest of the season and seasons in the future. Because, again, I mentioned it a little bit earlier, so many Bears teams in the past, they get blown out in those games against the Packers. They don't just lose by one score. They lose by 4 scores. 3-4 scores. They're getting blown out of the water in those games. So, I mean, there was more fight in that Bears team in a game against Green Bay than I've seen in the last 5 years, easily. Maybe more. Because, that shouldn't have been a game. With how that first half went, that should not have been a game. Absolutely not. But the Bears made it a game because they're resilient and they want to play for this coaching staff. There's definitely some talent problems. The defense is still a liability. I don't know how or why the run quick slant game to Christian Watson worked so effectively. Probably because Kyler Gordon wasn't in. He re-aggravated a groin injury in warm-ups, which was just freaking great, dude. He's played for, 3 games this year, and they just signed him to an extension. Availability is the best ability because it really felt like, I think I saw Nick McLeod out there a lot as well, so it really felt like Dennis Allen planned this whole week for C.J. Gardner-Johnson and Kyler Gordon to play the entire game. At least to start. If they got hurt in the game, okay, that happens, but that's what it felt like he planned for. And of course, with Kyler Gordon going out, it really changed the whole scheme of things. And outside of the pick, C.J. Gardner-Johnson did not have a good game. So, the defense is definitely a liability. And while a lot of people will say that the moment that the Bears lost this game, of course, is the game-ending interception Caleb Williams threw in the end zone, I think it's the failure to stop Josh Jacobs when you had him behind the sticks on 3rd and 1. 4 guys missed a tackle on Josh Jacobs on 3rd and 1 from the line of scrimmage. And he turned it into a 20-plus yard gain, which he would finish the touchdown, 3 plays later? That to me is where they lost this game, because more often than... But part of me is also they probably would have gone for it anyways, because Matt LaFleur is a bit petty in divisional games. And I say that more so because he goes for it a lot. He goes for it on 4th and short a lot when he feels confident, and he feels very confident going up against the NFC North, especially against the Bears. I would not have put it past Matt LaFleur to go for it on 4th and 2 if Josh Jacobs lost a yard in that play instead of taking the field goal. He totally would have done it, and I really do, and I do believe that. But in the chance that he wouldn't have, and he would have kicked the field goal, that makes that next drive so much easier for the Chicago offense, who had been playing very well in the second half. I mean, seriously, a 17-play, 85-yard drive for a touchdown that took 7 or 8 minutes in the 4th to tie it up? That was amazing. That was a great drive against that defense. That was really good. Because guess what? I'm going to give the Packers their flowers, because guess what? They're a good football team. That is a very good defense. And I don't know if there has been someone in the league this year that has played Green Bay and has led a touchdown drive like that. Some of the throws Caleb made tonight were great. Some of the throws Caleb made not tonight. Oh my God, I'm talking like I'm recording the game. Some of the throws that Caleb made on Sunday were great. Some of the throws that Caleb made on Sunday were very bad, including the final one. But I'm not just going to let the interception cloud my judgment and overlook some of the great plays that he made. That throw to Cole to set up the first touchdown, to escape the pocket after pretty much running into DeAndre Swift, was beautiful. That was the moment when the game changed, in my opinion. That was a huge gotta-have-it moment, and that was a perfect ball down the sideline, upfield, and it wasn't the next play, but it was a few plays later, because I think they ran it 3 times to get a first down. And on the first, they threw it on first down from the 1, which I thought was really not what they should have done, but Caleb Williams makes an outstanding throw. Outstanding throw to Olamide Zaccheaus for a touchdown. That was phenomenal coverage. I forget exactly who it was on the play. It might have been Nixon, actually. Whoever was on the coverage, phenomenal job. You can't cover a receiver better than that. But Olamide Zaccheaus somehow has the ball hit his hands, and he squeezes it and gets the feet or the knee down or whatever for the score. What a throw around Micah Parsons. That was spectacular. The play design for the other touchdown pass that Caleb threw. They were supposed to go to Theo Benedict. They were supposed to go to the extra O lineman. But he was blocked on the play, didn't get open, And so there's a degree of praise I do have to give to Caleb for keeping composure and staying calm to continue the play and find Colston Loveland wide the frick open and walk-in touchdown from 1 yard out. So there were some really good moments from Caleb Williams in this game against a really tough defense, but there were also some lowlights. Like, that's the one thing with the Caleb Williams experience this year that has been a bit frustrating. The highlights, dude, they're so good. That throw on the run of Devin Duvernay, of all people, who I saw only had one snap on offense all game long, and it was the one play where he makes that big catch in that 2-minute drill. Like, that was a great throw and a great catch in a clutch moment. So, like, he's had his highs. That throw to Cole was great. That throw to OZ was great. Luther Burden was open in a couple moments. But his lowlights have been very low this year. The game-ending pick, underthrew by a mile. Probably should have thrown it a little earlier. And I've seen a lot of people, especially right after the game ended, a lot of people were saying, DJ Moore was wide open. DJ Moore was wide open. You had him underneath for the first and the touchdown. The more, and as we've gotten into Monday, I've seen more and more people take back that stance and say, like, he's like the third option on that play. And by the time that Caleb was throwing that ball, that's when he kind of pops open. And that's a difficult throw to make. He's kind of behind him. He's got to lift it over a defensive lineman. That thing could sit up there for way too long, and that defense could close that gap. It's not as simple as, he throws a dart and it's a walk-in touchdown. And I don't know if he's able to beat out the two edge rushers or whatever to the pylon for a first down. Like, it really did feel like they were going to run the play that was the dagger against Philly again, and Caleb undersold it big time this time around. So that's how it is. I'm not going to hold it too much against him yet. Like, that's the thing. He's in year 2, and he's in year 1 with Ben Johnson. They're 9-4. If this was year 3 and year 3 with a head coach and they're 4-8, yeah, that's a different story. That's unacceptable. That's probably the sign that you need to move on from him the next year. But we're talking about year 1 in this offense, year 1 with this head coach, second year in the league. I'm not going to hold it too much against him, and I know it stings because it's against the Packers, and I know it hurts more, and I get it. I absolutely get it. But I don't know how you walk away after watching that game, and not box score watching. I don't know how you walk away from that game and see how they played in the second half as compared to the first half, and aren't like, they had a chance to win that game with 30 seconds left. That should not have been the case. And that hasn't been the case for a lot of Bears teams. So, if anyone wonders why I'm hopeful, that's why I'm hopeful. If they get blown out week 16, yeah, that's a different story. But with the way they played in that second half against a tough defense on the road, that's the toughest game left on their schedule. That was the toughest game left on their schedule. Might have been the toughest game all year long on the road against the Green Bay Packers. They get them in 2 weeks at home. They get the Cleveland Browns next week, which is a total trap game, by the way. Like, the perfect example of a trap game. Bad team. You're at home. You have a good team coming to your place the next week on a short week because it's a Saturday. It's a perfect opportunity to showcase that you can conquer the trap game and you're not going to overlook anyone. And that's the big thing I'm looking for next week against Cleveland. But these two teams could very well be playing for the exact same thing in 2 weeks at Soldier Field. Only it very well could be Packers 10-3-1, Bears 10-4. Like, that is a very, very, very realistic thing that could happen. It could also be Bears 9-5, Packers 9-4-1, or Bears 10-4, Packers 9-4-1. Or it could be a little bit less stakes. Maybe the Bears stumble against Cleveland. They go down to 9-5, and the Packers go out into Denver and beat the Broncos. They're 10-3-1. That is a must-have game, not just for the division anymore. That feels like the division's over, but that feels like a must-have game for the playoffs then. So there's so many ways that thing could end up, but there's a good chance it ends up being the exact same stakes. But this time, Green Bay's got a half game on the Bears as opposed to the Bears have a half game on the Packers. But regardless, I feel pretty good about this. And I've seen a lot of Packer fans just start running, again, just like, we won, you lost, we're smoking that Bear pack or whatever. And I get it. You want to beat your rival, and you don't care how it happens. That's fair. But with this fan base, I've been very relieved to see a lot of Bears fans be very level-headed about this and kind of almost have a positive outlook after this. And you could say, well, why do you have a positive outlook after a loss? They lost. And I get it. It's their first loss in over a month. And I've seen some Bears fans act like the sky is falling because they lost to Green Bay again. And it's like, this wasn't a loss to Green Bay when they were a bad football team. This is the first game the Bears and Packers have played where they've both been truly good football teams in a long time. And we got a good game. The Bears just happen to be the ones on the losing end again against Green Bay. It shows that there is definitely still one more step this team has to take before they compete with the Super Bowl contenders. And that's fine. That is fine. And it should be okay this year. Like, we're not at a point where it's a make or break year. The Packers have more pressure to win the Super Bowl than the Bears do, by far. They've been in a contending window for much longer than the Bears have been. And the Packers have maybe some cap problems they got to deal with because that Micah contract was not very cap friendly, if I remember correctly. I got to take a look at that specifically before I kind of make any more sweeping, comments about it. But regardless, I've seen a lot of Bears fans think that it's the sky's falling because they lost to Green Bay again. I get it. Losing to Green Bay absolutely sucks. I hate it too. I was expecting to be way more upset after that pick. But that was like the least upset I had been after losing the Packers in a long time. Because I know that they get another shot at them. And I knew that they should have probably won that game if they had played a better first half. If they play a better first half, they're probably in front at that point. They're probably not trailing. So, it's not just the final drive and Caleb throwing an interception. It's everything that leads up to it that is the reason why they lost that game. It just so happened to be the final nail in the coffin. But you know what? If the Bears win at Soldier Field, it's like, I'll take a season split. Absolutely. That's a very good football team over there. It's a very good football team. They have way more expectations going into this season than the Bears did. And some people would be like, well, your expectation is to win the Super Bowl every year. Not in my eyes. You gotta be realistic. You gotta understand when your team's not gonna win the Super Bowl. And that's more often than not. Doesn't matter what team you are, it's more often than not. How many people hate when Dallas Cowboy fans say this is our year every single year? Doesn't matter how good or bad they are. You get my point? If you have your expectations set at Super Bowl or bust every single year, you're going to be setting yourself up for disappointment. That's just the simple end-all, be-all. And frankly, that's what being fans of bad teams do for you sometimes. There's definitely moral victories that you can take. I'm a little sick of moral victories, I get it. But this is a moral victory I'm absolutely willing to take right now. The team's 9-4. It's not like this is a bad football team. This is a good football team. I think that the Bears are going to be a good football team for a while because they've got a good head coach. And I truly believe that. We'll see what happens over the next couple of years. It could be a 3-4 year contending window where they go to the NFC Championship and then all of a sudden fall off the face of the earth. But that's definitely better than that's the best contending window they've had since the late 80s. So I would take that, and it would be the biggest contending window of my life because I've only seen them win double-digit games once, and that was in 2018. And they're on the doorstep of doing that this year. So with how much bad football I've seen from the Chicago Bears, I'll take it because that was a hard-fought game. Those are two good football teams playing for a lot in the late stages of a season. I really do think this team is going to get them at Soldier Field. I really do, but that's how I feel coming out of this game. But we'll see what happens on Sunday. If the Bears have to squeak by Cleveland, then maybe my thoughts change. If the Packers dominate the Broncos, maybe my thoughts change. But my expectation is the Bears beat the Browns by 2 or more scores, and the Packers play a 1-score game against the Broncos. Whether they win or lose, I don't really know. That's a tough game to call. But, it is going to be a 1-score game. That's what it feels like. And if that's my expectation, if that's what happens, I really do feel like the Bears will go into Soldier Field and get the job done. Because now this coaching staff, these players, they've played now. It was their biggest game of the season so far after playing their biggest game of the season the week prior against Philly. Now they get to regroup, correct things, apply them to Cleveland, and move on forward to play Green Bay Week 16. I really do feel good about having another really good matchup Week 16. I really do feel that way. It just sucks that it's got to be on prime time in an isolated time slot. And of course, since the college football playoff schedule is out because they're playing the same day, that game's going to be going on the same time as James Madison and Oregon, which probably is going to be a bit lopsided. So we're probably going to see the Bears-Packers kind of deliver on viewer numbers and kind of be the sole eye of the country on that game. So, oh boy, am I excited. I was so nervous going into this game, and I actually leave this thing not too upset. And I understand why you would be upset if you lose this game. Because you lost the Packers again. I get it. And there are a lot of people who are solely based on wins and losses. But the funny part is, there are plenty of people out there who are all wins and losses until a team starts winning, then they're not winning by enough. Then they're not looking good enough to when they win. So what is it? Is it just wins or losses? Or is there nuance? Because if there is nuance, they looked better in this game than in some of their wins this year. That's the thing. They looked better in this one against Green Bay than they did probably against Minnesota the second time. They looked better in this game than they did against Giants, probably. Absolutely. They looked better in this game than they did against the Saints, against the Raiders. Like, you can tell if they played that game back in Week 4, that is a blowout. Because it was in Week 14, the Bears have grown as a team. They have developed as a team. They have chemistry. They're growing as a team. And look, sure, they're still a step away from really competing and maybe possibly beating the Packers twice in a season. But the way I think about this is, if they have to lose this game and split with the Packers this year to go out and sweep them next year or the year after, that's fine with me. As long as they can start winning against the Packers. I will take splits for a year or two if both teams are contenders, because that's kind of what should happen when you have two teams that are contenders. You should kind of see splits. That's kind of how it goes. But if the Bears are better than the Packers in a given season, they should sweep them going forward. And I would like to see that happen. because that's what the Packers have done for over a decade. And probably more than 2 decades, let's be honest here. So, I don't know. So there you go. That's my attempt at a one-take reaction, right? I think I hit everything I wanted to. We'll get together in 2 weeks, and we'll talk about their second game together, because the Bears play the Browns this week, upcoming week, and the Packers get the Broncos on the road. That's a tough game for Green Bay. If they go out and beat them by multiple scores, then you're starting to worry about them as true Super Bowl contenders again, because there was that rough patch in the middle of the season. And by the way, I think it's so stupid that Packer fans wanted Matt LaFleur fired. He has done nothing but win in that city. He's had one losing season, if I'm correct. No, he hasn't even had a losing season. I think his worst season was 9-8. Or was it 8-9? Or no, maybe they won 8-9 one year. But that's his worst season. I know he hasn't gone to a Super Bowl yet, but you can't fire that guy right now. That would be a catastrophe, and that franchise is going to fall apart if that's the case, in my opinion. So I can't believe there are Packer fans who are actually wanting Matt LaFleur fired. I can't believe that. Wow. But, I feel good about the Bears going forward. They'll get round 2 against the Packers. I'm glad that the Packers and Bears are playing in meaningful rivalry games again, because I really haven't seen this. And I kind of envy that for some of the other big rivalries in the league. Like, if these two teams had not been playing for 100 years, no one would care about this game as much as they do, because of just how lopsided it's been. But I think that we're in for another really good matchup in Soldier Field, and it should be fun. Anyways, for those who stuck around, I hope you enjoyed this new style. Let me know if you enjoyed more like the podcast, one-take type of content, because, this is what the guys on the radio do all the time. So, I don't know. Let me know what you think. Hit the like button if you enjoyed it. Hit the subscribe button if you really did. Again, keep the conversation going in the comment section below. Please let me know what you think about this format. Let me know what you think about this game. Are you still optimistic about the Bears going forward, especially in their rematch with the Packers in 2 weeks? Or do you think the sky is falling and it's over for the Bears? Let me know what you think. Have a good one, and I'll see you all in the next one.